welcome to today's reading. Today we're in Luke chapter 19 verse 28 to 44, but I'm just going to be reading verse 28 to 38. After Jesus had said this, he went on ahead going up to Jerusalem. As he approached Bethphage and Bethany at the hill called the Mount of Olives, he sent two of his disciples, saying to them, "Go to the village ahead of you, and as you enter it, you will find a colt tied there, which no one has ever ridden. Untie it and bring it here. If anyone asks you, 'Why are you untying it?' say, 'The Lord needs it.'" Those who were sent ahead went and found it just as he had told them. As they were untying the colt, its owners asked them, "Why are you untying the colt?" They replied, "The Lord needs it." They brought it to Jesus, threw their cloaks on the colt, and put Jesus on it. As he went along, people spread their cloaks on the road. When he came near the place where the road goes down the Mount of Olives, the whole crowd of disciples began joyfully to praise God in loud voices for all the miracles they had seen. "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven and glory in the highest." Well, the people were rejoicing in Jesus coming into Jerusalem here because they recognized that he was the King, the Messiah. In Zechariah chapter 9 verse 9, it had said to look out for the king coming. He would be riding on a colt, the foal of a donkey. And so in that verse it says, "See, your king comes to you." Here he is. And so they were responding to that. Wow, he's here. And they were so excited because the king would come to save his people, to save and rescue them. That was cause for great rejoicing, because they'd known what it was to go through great struggles and difficulties through the exile where they'd been taken off to Babylon hundreds of years before, and were still in captivity in their own land, having come back. And all of that was because of their broken relationship with God. Well, it's important to understand that Jesus hadn't come to overthrow the Romans, but to save his people from the root problem, the thing that had caused the broken relationship between them and God in the first place. And that was their sin. They were still slaves to sin, and they kept on breaking God's laws, and that's what we do as well. And so Jesus had come for them to save and rescue them. He'd come for us to save and rescue us, and he saves all who trust in him. So that was to be the response, to put their trust in Jesus to save them. And it's the call for us to put our trust in him too. Well, the passage tells us about what is so amazing about Jesus. As in Zechariah chapter 9, verse 9, it tells us what this king is like. It says, "See, your king comes to you righteous." He's a righteous king. He would lead the people back to right relationship with God. King David was heading towards this kind of way as being a king when he was in rule 1,000 years before this occasion. He was a good king who, in the main, led people to seek God, although he failed and didn't do it wholly and completely. Well, here is Jesus, the perfect king, the one who always saw his Father's will, who always obeyed perfectly, who would lead us as his people to seek God. He was righteous. He's the perfect Son of God. Also, Zechariah 9 verse 9 tells us that he's victorious. He really would be able to overcome the enemy and to set people free from sin. The enemies that they'd encountered in the land were bad enough, but sin itself, Satan, is far too great an enemy for us to be able to overcome. We cannot set ourselves free from sin and death, but Jesus is able to overcome. He is able to do that because he is the conquering king who would go to the cross to die and then defeat death by rising alive again. He's victorious. But he's also then the lowly king who comes alongside to have compassion on us, who cares for us so deeply then. He's great and awesome, but he cares about us in our need. He sees us in our problems of our guilt and the patterns of our sin and the way that our hearts are corrupt within, we can't change that ourselves. He comes alongside with such great compassion to serve us. As it just said, that he would go to the cross to bring about the victory and the rescue for us. And so this is why Jesus is such a wonderful King. He is great and awesome in his power, but he's so loving that he is lowly in coming alongside to care for us in our need. So I want to spend some time now praising Jesus for being that King. God bless.